Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. I'm Zemo, the dad in DPS, and we are back with another episode of The Good, The Scrap, and The Script, a series where I review weapons I've found and or made in Appalachia, and talk about them and show how well they do. Now, today's weapon is a special one, because it's a weapon that has an effect that we did not have on it before. It is explosive, obviously, because I'm obsessed with that effect. But what we're going to do is actually use this weapon with two different mods, because it has different interactions with it, and we're going to talk about it, show you these kind of things in tandem, and discuss which one I think's better. Either way, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let's get on with it. Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. You give Fallout a bad name. So, shot through the heart. This is a compound bow with armor pen, the explosive effect, and Vance critical charge. A god roll bow. Now, I am very eager to test out this bow and show you how well it does. And one thing I will say is the explosive effect with the explosive bow effect that you can mod on there is absolutely useless. I've already tested that out. It is completely pointless and I don't like it and I hate it, and it makes me angry that it just doesn't work properly. It feels like the two explosive effects cancel each other out, but that is what it is. The effects we're going to use today, though, are going to be the plasma bow, well, the plasma arrows, and the fire arrows. These are the two that I've found that seem to be doing the best, and I want to show you how they interact with enemies. Either way, let's show you the build and then get on with the testing. So as you can see, pretty standard build, nothing here that is too crazy. I'm thinking about it, we should probably remove that and put on critical savvy, because, you know, we can get more damage out of that. I do have critical savvy. It's better criticals we're going to pop on. But yeah, you can see what we're using. There's nothing too through the wall here. I could go down the route of putting on the covert operative stuff and boosting my stealth. There is that as an option. Maybe we'll try that. Let's see. We'll do that and put sneaky stealth stuff on. But yeah, this is the build. Alrighty, now we're starting off with the plasma arrows here, just to show you how well they do. And you're seeing with a big old donkin crit, that super mutant, he exploded. And the damage on this is not bad at all. These weapons are actually quite deadly, and it's taken down these enemies fairly easily. This is the kind of thing with this, is if you can take down enemies, then you are in a good shout. And again, the critical strikes will pretty much one-shot the super mutants. So this weapon, you know, at best, currently, one-shotting or very close to two-shotting. One thing I would say about bows is the accuracy isn't the best, but since the patch, it feels like accuracy on weapons that typically, you know, didn't seem to be as accurate as they should be might have been fixed. I don't know if there's maybe that coding issue's been fixed with it, because a lot of the time I'd be getting like 95s on weapons, but then they would miss like 80% of the time, 70% of the time. But now that it says 95%, it feels like I'm hitting 95%. And as I said, like, this is not a weak weapon. And I'm just going to double check I've got the right thing on. Yeah, I do. It's not a weak weapon. You are doing some pretty decent damage to these enemies. And when you want to do your crits, you want to take out things in one shot, you will usually do it. So with the right build, with the right things on here, you are going to get a lot of utility out of it. I think if you're a fan of bows, it's a good time to be a bow owner in this game. Alrighty, fire arrows now. So the cool thing and the cool interaction about the fire dot now is you can actually see where the dot is going to finish up. And this is quite a cool interaction, because it means you know exactly after you've shot the enemy if they're going to die from your effects. So you can actually go, maybe I won't fire another arrow. And the good thing about the fire one is that you're seeing, like, you do just more than just the explosion damage. You're also doing the fire dot. So enemies quite often will die later than your shots, and you can just kind of wait. So it's got this interesting interaction. Now this feels quite good. against small enemies, against weaker enemies, you know, super mutants, I think, are the kind of limit of what I would potentially recommend using this weapon for. But you're seeing, with a crit, like, I am going to kill that guy. And I think this weapon will probably struggle against your bigger targets. I think the bigger targets are the ones that this weapon maybe isn't going to be as effective. Like, the effectiveness of the fire arrows is probably best utilized on targets like you're seeing here, if I can freaking hit them. You know, you're seeing the damage, and you're seeing like the dot will tick down and eventually kill them. So against enemies that have low HP, low resistances, this is going to be incredibly useful. But what I'd say against the plasma one is it feels fun to use, and I know that's a strange one where I'm like, the difference in the arrows is very like subtle. The difference of it sounds better. I like the fact that it doesn't make the explosion noise when I fire it. It just fires, and then you've got little fire noise. Like it should be, like it would be with this type of arrow in real life. Like you would hear the flames, it wouldn't just like intrinsically explode. It's exploding into a ball of fire. And the fact that this is going to be a very good AoE weapon, this is kind of like a little mini cremator of sorts. And you're seeing it's actually doing not bad damage at all. I'm overly impressed with the fire arrows, and I think while the plasma does better single shot damage, I feel like this does, or rather feels, more fun to use. Alrighty, we bring this weapon to Jeff now. And again, we're still on the plasma arrows, so we'll show you how this works. You're seeing, like, sometimes you are still missing. But the damage isn't too bad. Jeff, unfortunately, likes to go a little bit immune during some of those kind of things. And you're seeing, like, it takes him down pretty effectively and pretty quickly, so it's good for that. So now we bring the flaming arrows to Jeff. Now, one thing I'm going to say is I am very reluctant to just reel into him. We're going to shoot an arrow, see the amount of extra damage. Let's see, it's not, like, all that much. On big targets like this, I feel like the initial fire damage is your main source of extra damage from this. I don't think, like, against big targets, you're overly going to get a lot out of it. That being said, if you had multiple people with bows, you know, I think you're gonna get a bit more out of it. But you're seeing, like, if I were to just lay into him, I would have killed him a lot quicker than I did. And it kills him quite quick. It feels like it's quieter than the plasma bow to me. But against big targets, I'm not really noticing an overly great feeling from the burning damage. But at the same time, it is still there and it is still doing something. Right, now we bring this weapon to the Mirelurk Queen. And what we're going to do is do our usual of just target the legs. See what we can do. Now, in terms of damage, it's doing not bad. This is a level 60 Mirelurk Queen though, so its health is not quite as prominent. But the good thing about this weapon is that it being a stealth weapon, you know, it's fairly silent. The Queen doesn't tend to find you. Even though it is explosive, it doesn't operate in the same realms as other weapons. You will take down big enemies with this, albeit a little bit slower, but, you know, it's not a bad shout. Especially since you don't have any additional crippling effects on this weapon, but the plasma arrows certainly did the job there. So, as you can see, we are at the Queen with the fire arrows now. Now we're going to launch them into her legs, and you're seeing the damage is, again, quite comparative. It's going to take a while. Like, this is the thing with this weapon. It's just a case of you're going to take a while to kill big targets like the Mirelurk Queen. I think the plasma is definitely a better option in this scenario, but you know, it's doing its job. It is killing her. I just don't think it's worth using in the grand scheme of things. Like, I don't think it's something I would be going out of my way to fight this enemy with. Like, it legitimately will kill her, and she isn't even discovering that we're here. But it just takes a while. It literally just takes a while. So, you know, I'm gonna say that this is not unsuccessful. Just a bit tedious, a bit boring to use against an enemy like this. So I would probably recommend that you don't take these weapons on your own, but don't take these enemies on your own with this weapon, because it just take you a while. And now we come to expeditions. Now when it comes to this weapon against the Thorns, why are you immortal apparently? You're seeing it does decent damage, kills them relatively quickly. They are always the thing I don't really like talking about in expeditions too much, because they're a very uncommon enemy type. If you're coming into this version, you're seeing here the folly of this weapon where you miss everything, but you're seeing you take them down pretty quickly and you get loads of arrows back. That's not an issue. I goddamn hate the Thorns, but yeah, you kill them fine, so I wouldn't worry about them in here. When it comes to the humanoid enemies, obviously you're gonna completely demolish them. That is a foregone conclusion. I don't think that was ever going to be anybody's kind of thoughts. But if you're stealth, you're likely going to one-shot them. If you're not, then you are going to obviously take a little bit longer to kill them. We'll try and get some stealth hits in here by showing you there. Okay, that didn't one-shot them. I thought it would, but it is what it is, I suppose. But you are going to get your ammo back. I definitely think this is a very viable weapon in here. Albeit, you know, I feel like the fire one is going to do a lot better because dots completely and utterly destroy these guys. But let's move on to that and show you how that works in here. So we take to expeditions with the fire arrows now. Now the cool thing about the fire arrows is its interaction with the enemies in here. Now you can see the burn damage on these enemies is absolutely insane. And if we target their weak point, then we should actually be able to essentially one-shot them with the fire arrows. Now, if we don't get the headshots, maybe not, but when we do get the headshots, we're doing the damage, and then the burn damage will, for the most part, finish them off. And this goes for pretty much all of the Overgrown. They are just really easy to kill with these. And, I mean, all the enemies in here are really susceptible to dots. So you can use this weapon quite effectively to take out any and all of the competitors. It's just very, very good at what it does. You see, and they're all just go down really quickly. And it's just a very good weapon to bring in here. I think any fire weapon is very effective at taking on expeditions in general. Like, it is just so good at taking out targets and burning them to death. So yeah, I would heavily recommend that you bring the fire arrows in here rather than the plasma ones, because I just feel like you're going to get more out of it than you would in general use. So there we have it, the bow with explosive on it. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed. I think that both plasma and fire have their merits. I think plasma, if you're looking for bigger single target damage, you are going to have a better time with that. But if you're looking for, you know, damage over time, AoE, that kind of thing, I feel like the fire arrows definitely have some merit to them. Against smaller targets, they are definitely going to do a lot more kind of damage in large groups. But the plasma arrows against bigger targets, such as, you know, bosses and things like that, I definitely think are going to get more benefit out of them there. Overall, it felt fun. It felt really fun to use, and I would heavily recommend that you pick up one of these weapons. If you do go down the route of the fire arrows, though, I would probably recommend like Aristocrats or Bloodied, something that gives a percentage increase, because that will probably affect the burn dot, which means that you might be able to kill a lot more targets with just a simple fire of the arrow, and then the burn damage takes them out. But I'll kind of need to experiment with that later in the future. Either way, guys, if you've enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.
Pop open, it's a nuclear pop. Stabbing and swooping wild like a lock. Testing weapons, bang bang sparks. Radiation hum high and glowing stark. Swinging in down Appalachia Trail. Mothman legend cocktails prevail. Strip for the traders, scrap on sale. Building forts, raiders on our tail. Oh, the good, the scrap, and the street. Wandering wasteland, loose on the lip. Barter and hustle ain't just a quip. Survivors dance, got a weapon on the hip. Oh, the good, the scrap, and the street. Wandering wasteland, loose on the lip. Barter and hustle ain't just a quip. Survivors dance, got a weapon on the hip. Crafting stations, tinker's delight. Fixing shotguns, new rifles tight. Ghouls round the corner, gotta fight. Day turns to night, it'll flash so bright.